secret number 1, reveals the true scope of this global phenomenon. Academic institutions have deliberately minimized the extent to which these symbols appear worldwide. While mainstream archaeology acknowledges their presence in Assyrian reliefs and Olmec monuments, they've systematically ignored or explained away hundreds of similar depictions found across every inhabited continent. Remote temples in Cambodia show figures holding identical containers. Ancient Egyptian murals contain nearly identical objects that have been dismissed as artistic flourishes. Prehistoric cave paintings in Australia display the same distinctive shape. Even more disturbing, Native American petroglyphs throughout North America feature figures carrying these mysterious bags, despite official claims that such symbols only appeared in the Old World. The pattern extends far beyond what any reasonable person could attribute to coincidence. When identical imagery appears in isolated cultures separated by oceans and ice ages, we're not looking at shared artistic traditions. We're looking at shared experiences that authorities prefer to keep hidden from public scrutiny. Archaeological expeditions have uncovered evidence that these symbols weren't merely decorative elements, but represented actual physical objects of tremendous importance. Excavations at restricted sites have yielded fragments of materials that don't match any known ancient manufacturing techniques. These fragments display molecular structures that shouldn't have been possible with primitive tools and knowledge. Chemical analysis of residue found in temple chambers, where handbag imagery appears, most frequently shows traces of compounds that modern science struggles to identify. The molecular signatures suggest advanced manufacturing processes involving elements that weren't officially discovered until the 20th century. Yet these traces date back thousands of years, embedded in stone foundations and ceremonial chambers. Even more compelling, ground-penetrating radar surveys at major archaeological sites have detected buried chambers directly beneath the locations where handbag symbols appear most prominently. These underground spaces remain unexplored, their contents classified under cultural preservation protocols that prevent independent researchers from conducting investigations. Secret number 2 exposes the systematic suppression of physical evidence. Multiple archaeological teams have discovered actual artifacts matching the handbag descriptions, only to have their findings confiscated by government agencies claiming national security interests. Researchers who attempted to publish their discoveries found their academic careers destroyed and their funding permanently revoked. Dr. Elena Vasquez, who led excavations in Peru during the 1990s, documented the recovery of 3 metallic containers that perfectly matched Mesopotamian handbag depictions. Her team's photographs showed objects with the characteristic rectangular shape and curved handles, constructed from an unknown alloy that displayed unusual electromagnetic properties. Within weeks of her preliminary report, Vasquez's excavation permits were revoked and her artifacts disappeared from the university storage facility. Official records claim that no such objects were ever discovered, and Vasquez herself was forced to sign non-disclosure agreements that prevent her from discussing her findings publicly. Similar incidents occurred at sites in Turkey, Mexico, and Iraq. Archaeological teams reported discovering containers, tools, and fragments that matched ancient depictions, only to have their evidence seized and their research terminated. The consistent pattern suggests coordinated efforts to prevent public awareness of what these objects actually represent. Independent researchers who attempted to analyze confiscated materials using advanced spectroscopy and electron microscopy found results that defied conventional understanding of ancient metallurgy. The objects showed signs of precision manufacturing that required industrial techniques not developed until the modern era. Some samples displayed internal structures, suggesting nanotechnology applications that shouldn't have existed in prehistoric times. The implications were too significant to ignore and too dangerous to publicize. If ancient civilizations possessed technology that matched or exceeded modern capabilities, it would fundamentally restructure our understanding of human development and technological progression. Such revelations would undermine established academic hierarchies and challenge the foundations of evolutionary archaeology. Secret number 3 reveals the connection between handbag sites and unexplained energy phenomena. Locations where these symbols appear most frequently demonstrate measurable electromagnetic anomalies that can't be explained by conventional geology. Sensitive instrumentation detects energy patterns that seem to emanate from the carved symbols themselves. Göbekli Tepe, where some of the oldest handbag carvings were discovered, sits atop geological formations that generate unusual magnetic fields. The stone pillars containing handbag imagery show electromagnetic signatures that differ significantly from surrounding rock formations. Ground conductivity measurements reveal energy flows that follow the exact patterns of symbol placement throughout the site. Similar phenomena occur at Mesopotamian ruins, where Assyrian handbag reliefs remain intact. Electronic equipment malfunctions when brought too close to specific carved panels. Digital cameras produce distorted images, and GPS devices lose signal accuracy in proximity to handbag symbols. These effects suggest that the carvings themselves may incorporate materials or techniques that interfere with modern technology. Even more intriguing, several research teams have documented temporal anomalies at these locations. Atomic clocks run differently when placed near handbag imagery, showing minute but consistent variations that can't be attributed to gravitational effects or instrument error. The time distortions are subtle but measurable, suggesting that the symbols may influence the local fabric of space and time. Seismic monitoring equipment has recorded vibrations emanating from handbag sites that don't correspond to any known geological processes. The frequencies are too regular to be natural and too complex to be random. Spectral analysis reveals harmonic patterns that resemble technological signatures rather than Earth movements. These energy phenomena occur exclusively at locations where handbag symbols appear, and their intensity correlates directly with the number and preservation quality of the carvings. Sites with more extensive handbag imagery display stronger electromagnetic effects, while locations where symbols have been damaged or removed show diminished energy readings. Secret number 4 uncovers the deliberate destruction and concealment of handbag evidence throughout history. Religious and political authorities have systematically targeted these symbols for elimination, recognizing their potential to undermine established power structures and belief systems. During the spread of Christianity and Islam, missionaries and conquerors specifically sought out monuments containing handbag imagery for destruction. Historical records show that temples and monuments featuring these symbols were prioritized for demolition, even when other ancient structures in the same locations were preserved or repurposed. The pattern continued through the colonial period, when European powers occupied territories containing significant handbag sites. Archaeological expeditions funded by colonial governments focused on removing or defacing handbag imagery, while preserving other ancient artifacts for museum collections. Official expedition reports consistently omit references to handbag symbols, despite photographic evidence showing their presence at excavation sites. Modern construction projects have been deliberately routed through ancient sites containing handbag imagery. Highways, dams, and urban development consistently target locations where these symbols appear, despite alternative routes that would be more cost-effective and environmentally responsible. The systematic nature of this destruction suggests coordinated policies to eliminate physical evidence. Even museum collections have been systematically purged of handbag-related artifacts. Inventory records from major institutions show that objects matching handbag descriptions were accessioned during the early 20th century, only to disappear from catalogues decades later. Current museum officials claim no knowledge of these missing pieces, and storage facility records have been mysteriously lost or destroyed. The technological implications of authentic handbag artifacts would revolutionize our understanding of human capabilities and historical development. If ancient civilizations possessed advanced manufacturing techniques, energy manipulation technologies, or material science beyond current knowledge. It would challenge fundamental assumptions about technological progression and human evolution. Such revelations would also raise uncomfortable questions about the sources of ancient knowledge and the possibility that human development received guidance or intervention from unknown sources. The handbag symbols may represent evidence of contact with advanced civilizations, extraterrestrial visitors, or time travelers from humanity's own future. The systematic suppression of this evidence protects not only academic theories, but also religious and political institutions that depend on specific narratives about human history and development. Acknowledging the true significance of handbag imagery would require admitting that our ancestors possess knowledge and capabilities that we've lost or never understood. As we continue to uncover these hidden secrets, the pattern becomes unmistakable. The handbags of the gods represent something far more significant than ritual implements or artistic symbols. They are evidence of technologies, knowledge, and connections that authorities have worked for centuries to keep hidden from public awareness. The next secrets we'll reveal expose even more disturbing truths about these mysterious objects and the lengths to which powerful institutions will go to prevent their true meaning from reaching the masses. What you've learned so far is only the beginning of a story that reaches into the deepest mysteries of human existence and our place in the universe. Secret number 5 exposes the hidden mathematical codes embedded within handbag imagery that reveal knowledge of advanced physics and dimensional manipulation. When researchers analyze the proportions and placement of these carved containers using modern computational methods, they discover mathematical relationships that shouldn't have been understood by ancient civilizations. The dimensional ratios of handbag symbols across different cultures follow precise mathematical constants that relate to quantum mechanics and field theory. The rectangular body maintains a consistent proportion of 1.618 to 1. The golden ratio that appears throughout natural systems and advanced engineering applications. The curved handle's arc follows mathematical curves that correspond to electromagnetic field equations discovered only in the 20th century. More disturbing is how these proportions relate to the positioning of handbag symbols within larger architectural complexes. When mapped using satellite imagery and ground-penetrating radar, the placement of handbag carvings creates geometric patterns that match theoretical models for interdimensional gateways and space-time manipulation devices. Computer analysis reveals that handbag sites worldwide are connected by ley lines that follow great circle routes around the planet. These alignment patterns incorporate astronomical calculations that account for precession cycles spanning 26,000 years. Ancient cultures supposedly lacking advanced mathematics somehow encoded celestial mechanics into their sacred architecture with precision that rivals modern astronomical software. The mathematical sophistication extends to frequency relationships found at handbag sites. Acoustic measurements show that temple chambers containing these symbols resonate at specific frequencies that correspond to molecular vibration rates of water and human DNA. The harmonic ratios follow musical scales that weren't formally codified until centuries after these monuments were constructed. Secret number 6 reveals the connection between handbag symbols and genetic manipulation technologies. Laboratory analysis of biological samples recovered from handbag sites shows evidence of genetic modifications that predate known biotechnology by thousands of years. Ancient human remains found in proximity to handbag imagery display chromosomal anomalies that suggest deliberate genetic enhancement. The modifications include increased brain capacity, enhanced sensory organs, and resistance to diseases that wouldn't be conquered by modern medicine until the 20th century. These genetic alterations appear consistently across different populations, separated by vast distances and time periods. Even more startling, plant and animal specimens from handbag sites show signs of hybridization that couldn't occur naturally. Archaeological layers contain seeds and bone fragments from species that represent impossible crosses between organisms from different continents. The genetic combinations required biotechnology that modern science is only beginning to understand. DNA sequencing of these ancient specimens reveals insertion sequences that don't match any known terrestrial organisms. The foreign genetic material includes coding sequences that correspond to advanced metabolic processes and cellular repair mechanisms that exceed current biological knowledge. These enhancements would have provided significant survival advantages to organisms that possess them. The handbag symbols themselves may represent containers for genetic material or biotechnology equipment used to implement these modifications. The consistent size and shape across cultures suggests standardized instruments designed for specific biological applications. The electromagnetic properties detected at these sites could indicate energy requirements for genetic manipulation processes. Secret number 7 uncovers the suppressed evidence of handbag sites serving as interdimensional portals or communication devices. Classified military research has documented temporal and spatial anomalies at these locations that suggest they function as gateways between different realities or time periods. Sensitive equipment deployed at major handbag sites has recorded particle emissions that don't correspond to any known physics. The exotic matter signatures include particles that appear to violate conservation laws and display properties that suggest they originate from parallel dimensions or alternate timelines. Gravitational measurements at these locations show microscopic variations that create localized distortions in space-time. The effects are subtle but consistent, occurring in patterns that align with the placement of handbag imagery. Areas with higher concentrations of symbols display stronger gravitational anomalies, suggesting a direct relationship between the carvings and dimensional manipulation. Multiple witnesses have reported temporal displacement experiences at handbag sites. Visitors describe losing time, experiencing vivid visions of different historical periods, or encountering beings that don't match any known human populations. These accounts are dismissed as hallucinations or false memories, but the consistency across different locations and time periods suggests genuine phenomena. Electronic monitoring equipment has captured electromagnetic signatures that appear to represent communication signals. The transmissions use frequencies and modulation patterns that don't match any terrestrial technology. Attempts to decode these signals have revealed mathematical sequences and astronomical data that demonstrate knowledge beyond ancient capabilities. Secret number 8 exposes the role of secret societies and government agencies in maintaining the handbag cover-up. Internal documents obtained through Freedom of Information requests reveal coordinated efforts to suppress handbag research and eliminate evidence of their true significance. Intelligence agencies have monitored archaeological expeditions at handbag sites since the early 20th century. Classified reports detail operations to confiscate artifacts, intimidate researchers, and manipulate academic publications to minimize the importance of these discoveries. The surveillance extends to international cooperation between agencies to ensure consistent suppression across different countries. Secret societies with connections to political and academic institutions have maintained awareness of handbag significance for centuries. Historical documents show that these organizations possess detailed knowledge of handbag locations and their properties. Their influence over university funding and archaeological permits allows them to control research directions and prevent unauthorized investigations. Government facilities have been constructed at remote handbag sites under the cover of military bases or research stations. Satellite imagery shows extensive underground construction at locations that officially contain only minor archaeological remains. The facilities include advanced laboratory equipment and particle accelerators that suggest ongoing research into handbag phenomena. Personnel assigned to these facilities are required to maintain security clearances and sign comprehensive non-disclosure agreements. Former employees who have attempted to discuss their work have faced legal prosecution and professional destruction. The level of secrecy surrounding these operations exceeds that applied to nuclear weapons research. Secret number 9 reveals the connection between handbag imagery and advanced propulsion technologies. The electromagnetic effects documented at these sites match theoretical models for gravity manipulation and faster-than-light travel systems. The energy patterns emanating from handbag symbols correspond to field geometries that could generate anti-gravity effects. Theoretical physics suggests that properly configured electromagnetic fields could create localized distortions in space-time that would allow for levitation and propulsion without reaction mass. Ancient texts that accompany handbag imagery describe flying vehicles and transportation between distant locations in impossibly short timeframes. These accounts, dismissed as mythology by mainstream scholars, contain technical details that align with modern propulsion concepts, including field propulsion and warp drive mechanics. The metallic fragments recovered from handbag sites display crystalline structures that could function as components in exotic propulsion systems. The materials show properties that would allow them to channel and manipulate electromagnetic fields in ways that could overcome gravitational forces. Secret number 10 exposes the ultimate truth about the handbags of the gods. They represent evidence of an advanced technological civilization that existed before recorded history and possessed capabilities that exceed our current understanding of physics and engineering. The systematic suppression of handbag evidence protects a fundamental deception about human origins and development. If these symbols represent actual technologies used by ancient civilizations, it would prove that human progress hasn't been a steady advancement from primitive beginnings, but rather a recovery from a previous high-technology period that was lost to catastrophe. The handbag containers may have held quantum computers, genetic engineering tools, or dimensional manipulation devices that allowed their users to alter reality itself. The identical appearance across cultures suggests these were standardized instruments distributed by a global technological infrastructure that connected all ancient civilizations. The destruction and concealment of handbag evidence continues because acknowledging their true significance would revolutionize our understanding of human potential and technological possibility. It would prove that advanced knowledge and capabilities have been deliberately suppressed to maintain control over human development and prevent the recovery of technologies that could transform civilization. The handbags of the gods aren't symbols of primitive religious beliefs, but evidence of scientific achievements that surpass our current capabilities. Their secret has been protected for centuries because revealing the truth would change everything we think we know about ourselves and our place in the universe. The implications go deeper than technological suppression. These handbag symbols connect to a network of ancient knowledge that threatens the very foundations of modern power structures. When we trace the connections between all handbag sites worldwide, a disturbing pattern emerges that reveals coordinated efforts to control human consciousness and limit our understanding of reality itself. Advanced satellite mapping has revealed that handbag locations worldwide form precise geometric patterns when connected across continents. These alignments create a global grid that corresponds to theoretical models for planetary consciousness manipulation systems. The positioning isn't random or coincidental. It represents a deliberately engineered network designed to influence human development on a species-wide level. Classified research conducted at underground facilities has demonstrated that the handbag sites function as nodes in this planetary grid. When energy is introduced at one location, measurable effects appear at corresponding sites thousands of miles away. The transmission occurs instantaneously, suggesting quantum entanglement or faster-than-light communication between the monuments. Electromagnetic field measurements show that the grid remains active even after thousands of years. The stone carvings themselves appear to function as permanent transmitters, broadcasting signals that interact with human brainwave patterns. Neuroscientists who have studied these effects report that exposure to handbag sites alters consciousness states and enhances psychic abilities in ways that can't be explained by conventional neuroscience. The suppression extends beyond individual artifacts to entire regions, where handbag concentrations reach critical thresholds. Military forces have established restricted zones around clusters of these sites, preventing civilian access under various pretexts, including environmental protection and national security. Satellite imagery shows extensive underground construction at these locations, suggesting large-scale research operations that dwarf publicly acknowledged archaeological efforts. Personnel who have worked within these restricted zones report encountering technologies that operate beyond known physical principles. Devices that manipulate gravity, time, and consciousness function within sealed chambers, carved directly into bedrock beneath handbag monuments. The equipment appears to be partially ancient and partially modern, suggesting ongoing development of technologies based on recovered artifacts. The psychological effects of prolonged exposure to active handbag sites include enhanced intuition, telepathic abilities, and direct knowledge acquisition that bypasses normal learning processes. Researchers stationed at these facilities often develop capabilities that border on supernatural, including precognition and remote viewing abilities that exceed statistical probability by orders of magnitude. These enhanced individuals are systematically transferred to other projects or permanently reassigned to prevent them from sharing their experiences with outside researchers. The pattern suggests that exposure to handbag technology creates human capabilities that authorities consider too dangerous for general population awareness. Independent researchers who have attempted to study consciousness effects at public handbag sites have documented similar phenomena. Meditation groups report achieving altered states that provide direct access to historical information and technological knowledge that shouldn't be available through normal channels. The experiences are consistent across different locations and participant backgrounds, suggesting genuine information transfer rather than psychological suggestion. Archaeological evidence shows that ancient cultures understood and deliberately utilized these consciousness-altering effects. Temple complexes at handbag sites include chambers designed for sensory isolation and consciousness expansion. The architectural features create acoustic and electromagnetic conditions that amplify the site's natural effects on human awareness. Ancient texts describe initiation ceremonies conducted at these locations that transform participants into beings with enhanced capabilities. The processes involved extended exposure to energies emanating from the handbag symbols, combined with specific rituals and mental disciplines that remain partially decoded in surviving manuscripts. Modern attempts to replicate these ancient techniques have produced remarkable results that are immediately classified and removed from public access. Volunteers who undergo controlled exposure to handbag site energies develop abilities that include direct matter manipulation, remote influencing of electronic systems, and consciousness projection across vast distances. The suppression of this knowledge maintains artificial limitations on human potential that serve existing power structures. If people understood that exposure to these ancient sites could unlock dormant capabilities, it would fundamentally alter the balance of power between institutions and individuals. Enhanced human consciousness poses a direct threat to systems that depend on ignorance and limitation for control. The handbag symbols themselves may represent instruction manuals or activation sequences for consciousness enhancement technologies. The mathematical relationships embedded in their design correspond to brainwave patterns and neural network configurations that optimize human cognitive function. Ancient civilizations may have encoded the keys to human enhancement directly into their monuments. Recent discoveries at newly excavated handbag sites have yielded artifacts that function as interfaces between human consciousness and the planetary grid. These devices, roughly matching the size and shape of the carved symbols, appear to be designed for direct neural connection. When activated, they provide users with access to information networks that span both geographical space and historical time. The technology suggests that ancient civilizations possessed not only advanced physical sciences, but also sophisticated understanding of consciousness as a fundamental force in the universe. The Handbag Network may represent a global consciousness amplification system designed to elevate human awareness and capabilities to levels that we're only beginning to imagine. Government agencies have conducted classified experiments using recovered handbag interfaces with volunteer test subjects. The results demonstrate that human consciousness can be expanded far beyond normal limitations when properly interfaced with these ancient technologies. Participants gain access to vast databases of knowledge, develop telepathic communication abilities, and demonstrate precognitive awareness that allows them to predict future events with startling accuracy. These enhanced individuals often report contact with intelligences that exist outside normal space-time limitations. The communications suggest that the Handbag Network was designed as a bridge between human consciousness and higher dimensional beings who seek to guide human development toward expanded awareness and technological advancement. The systematic suppression of handbag research prevents humanity from accessing tools that could solve our greatest challenges. The consciousness expansion technologies represented by these ancient symbols could revolutionize education, eliminate mental illness, and provide solutions to environmental and social problems that seem intractable with current approaches. Energy readings from active handbag sites suggest they draw power from zero-point vacuum fluctuations, providing unlimited clean energy that could replace all fossil fuel dependence. The same technologies that enhance consciousness also demonstrate the potential for matter-energy conversion that would eliminate scarcity and resource conflicts. The healing effects documented at handbag locations include cellular regeneration, genetic repair, and consciousness integration that addresses psychological trauma at fundamental levels. Ancient civilizations may have possessed medical technologies that operated through consciousness manipulation rather than chemical intervention, providing healing capabilities that exceed modern medicine by orders of magnitude. Archaeological evidence shows that handbag sites were centers of learning institutions that preserved knowledge through catastrophic periods when surface civilizations collapsed. The underground chambers contain libraries of information encoded in crystalline matrices that remain readable after thousands of years. These repositories hold scientific, philosophical, and technological knowledge that represents the accumulated wisdom of advanced civilizations. The recovery and integration of this preserved knowledge would accelerate human development by millennia, providing solutions to problems we haven't yet learned to ask. The handbag symbols mark locations where humanity's true heritage lies waiting, protected by stone guardians whose secrets could transform our species into something far greater than we've ever imagined ourselves to be. But the forces that suppress this knowledge understand its transformative power and will continue their efforts to keep these secrets buried. The handbags of the gods represent nothing less than the keys to human transcendence. And those who control current power structures have every reason to ensure those keys remain forever out of reach. The evidence continues to accumulate despite their efforts, and the truth grows stronger with each new discovery. The handbags of the gods hold secrets that were never supposed to be revealed, but the time for concealment is ending. What we've uncovered represents only the beginning of revelations that will reshape our understanding of human potential and our cosmic destiny. The pattern of suppression runs deeper than individual artifacts or isolated sites. Intelligence documents obtained through classified channels reveal that handbag research connects to a broader network of suppressed archaeological discoveries that threaten established historical narratives. The same agencies that confiscate handbag artifacts have systematically eliminated evidence of advanced ancient technologies across multiple continents. Underground storage facilities contain thousands of artifacts that demonstrate technological capabilities exceeding current human achievements. These collections include devices that manipulate electromagnetic fields, crystalline structures that store and transmit information, and metallic objects that display properties impossible with known materials science. The handbag containers represent just one category within a vast inventory of suppressed evidence. Personnel who have accessed these classified storage sites report seeing technologies that appear to bridge ancient and modern engineering approaches. Devices recovered from handbag locations show integration with equipment that matches no known historical period, suggesting ongoing development projects that combine recovered artifacts with contemporary research. The technological sophistication extends to manufacturing processes that leave no trace in the archaeological record. The handbag symbols themselves display precision that requires tools and techniques unavailable to ancient civilizations, yet isotopic dating confirms their antiquity. This paradox suggests manufacturing methods that operated outside conventional physical processes. Spectroscopic analysis reveals that handbag carvings contain trace elements arranged in molecular patterns that function as information storage systems. The stone itself has been altered at the atomic level to encode data that remains readable after millennia. Ancient civilizations possessed nanotechnology applications that modern science is only beginning to understand. The encoded information includes technical specifications for devices that harness zero-point energy, manipulate gravitational fields, and interface directly with human neural systems. The handbag symbols serve as three-dimensional blueprints that contain complete manufacturing instructions for technologies that could revolutionize human civilization. Attempts to construct devices based on these encoded specifications have produced functional prototypes that demonstrate capabilities beyond known physics. The energy output exceeds input by factors that violate conservation laws, suggesting access to energy sources that exist outside normal space-time dimensions. Government laboratories have successfully replicated several technologies derived from handbag site information. The devices include communication systems that operate instantaneously across any distance, propulsion systems that manipulate inertia and gravity, and consciousness interface equipment that expands human cognitive abilities beyond normal limitations. These breakthrough technologies remain classified under national security provisions that prevent their civilian application. The strategic implications of consciousness enhancement and unlimited energy sources are considered too significant for public release, maintaining technological advantages for military and intelligence applications. The suppression serves multiple purposes beyond military advantage. Religious institutions recognize that handbag technologies would validate ancient texts describing godlike capabilities among human populations. Archaeological evidence suggests that prehistoric civilizations possessed abilities that match biblical and mythological accounts of miraculous powers. Educational systems have been structured to prevent recognition of these patterns. Historical curricula deliberately fragment ancient civilizations into isolated cultures that appear to develop independently. The connections revealed by handbag distribution patterns would demonstrate global coordination and technological exchange that contradicts established archaeological models. Economic interests also drive continued suppression. Energy technologies derived from handbag sites would eliminate dependence on fossil fuels and centralized power generation. The economic disruption would destroy industries worth trillions of dollars and fundamentally alter global power relationships based on resource control. The consciousness enhancement effects documented at handbag locations pose even greater threats to existing social structures. Individuals with expanded awareness capabilities would be immune to propaganda, manipulation, and control systems that depend on limited human consciousness for effectiveness. Psychological studies conducted at classified facilities show that handbag site exposure creates individuals who cannot be deceived by conventional means. Their enhanced intuitive abilities allow them to detect deception, recognize hidden agendas, and access information through channels that bypass normal communication systems. These enhanced individuals consistently develop ethical frameworks that prioritize collective welfare over personal advantage. Their expanded consciousness naturally aligns with humanitarian values that threaten systems based on competition, scarcity, and hierarchical control. Corporate interests have identified consciousness enhancement as an existential threat to profit-based economic models. Individuals who can access unlimited information and energy would have no need for consumer products or services that dominate current markets. The handbag network appears designed to facilitate this transition from scarcity-based systems to abundance-based civilizations. Ancient cultures may have encoded instructions for social transformation alongside their technological blueprints, providing complete templates for advanced, sustainable societies. Archaeological evidence shows that handbag civilizations achieved stable populations, eliminated warfare, and developed technologies that enhanced, rather than degraded, their environments. Their social models demonstrate that advanced technology naturally leads to cooperative rather than competitive social structures. Modern attempts to implement social systems based on recovered handbag information have been systematically disrupted through economic warfare, political interference, and direct military intervention. Communities that begin developing consciousness enhancement practices, or alternative energy systems, face immediate suppression through various mechanisms. The pattern extends internationally through coordinated policies that prevent any nation from developing handbag-derived technologies independently. International agreements classify consciousness research and exotic energy systems under weapons proliferation treaties that prohibit civilian development. Scientific journals refuse publication of research that validates handbag-related phenomena, maintaining academic isolation of researchers who document these effects. Funding agencies blacklist institutions that pursue consciousness enhancement or zero-point energy research, ensuring continued suppression through economic pressure. The coordinated nature of this suppression reveals organizational capabilities that span governmental, corporate, and academic institutions across multiple nations. The level of coordination suggests centralized planning by groups with authority that transcends normal political boundaries. Historical analysis shows that handbag suppression began immediately upon their discovery in the 19th century, indicating that some organizations possessed prior knowledge of their significance. The systematic nature of early suppression efforts suggests preparation based on information sources that remain classified. Intelligence documents hint at recovered archives that contain detailed descriptions of handbag technologies and their implications for human development. These archives may represent communications from the original builders, providing complete documentation of their capabilities and intentions. The builders appear to have anticipated that their technologies would be suppressed and encoded multiple redundancy systems throughout the global network. New handbag sites continue to be discovered as environmental changes expose previously hidden locations. Climate change and geological activity have revealed handbag installations in polar regions, ocean floors, and underground chambers that were deliberately concealed. These discoveries suggest that the ancient network was far more extensive than previously documented. Each new site provides additional pieces of the technological puzzle while demonstrating the global scope of the original civilization. The evidence points toward a planetary infrastructure that connected all inhabited regions through consciousness and energy networks. The recovery of this ancient network represents humanity's path toward transcendence of current limitations. The handbag technologies provide tools for conscious evolution that could eliminate suffering, scarcity, and conflict, while unlocking human potentials that remain dormant under current conditions. But the forces of suppression grow stronger as more evidence emerges. The stakes continue to escalate as the true magnitude of handbag technologies becomes apparent. What we face is nothing less than a battle for the future of human consciousness and our species' destiny among the stars. The secrets continue to unfold despite every effort to contain them. The handbags of the gods carry revelations that will ultimately transform everything, and no amount of suppression can prevent their truth from emerging when the time arrives for humanity to reclaim its inheritance. The deepest secret of all lies in what happens when these suppressed technologies are finally activated. Classified research has documented consciousness-bridging events that connect users across impossible distances through the Handbag network. Individuals exposed to multiple sites simultaneously report shared awareness experiences, where they access collective memories spanning thousands of years of human development. These consciousness-bridging events reveal that the Handbag network wasn't designed merely to enhance individual capabilities, but to create a unified field of human awareness. When properly activated, the system allows instant communication and knowledge sharing between all connected individuals, essentially creating a global human consciousness that transcends physical limitations. Government researchers have accidentally triggered network-wide activation events during classified experiments. These incidents resulted in spontaneous awakening experiences among populations living near handbag sites worldwide. People reported sudden access to advanced knowledge, healing abilities, and precognitive awareness that lasted for hours before gradually fading as the network returned to dormant status. Emergency protocols were immediately implemented to prevent future network activations. Military units were positioned at major handbag sites with instructions to disrupt any electromagnetic anomalies that might trigger consciousness-bridging events. The potential for global awakening represents the ultimate threat to existing power structures. The suppression efforts have reached unprecedented levels as more individuals discover handbag locations independently. Satellite surveillance monitors all known sites continuously, and artificial intelligence systems analyze social media for discussions that might lead others to these locations. Automated suppression algorithms remove information and redirect searches away from handbag-related content. Underground facilities have been expanded at critical sites to house particle beam systems designed to disrupt the electromagnetic fields that enable consciousness bridging. These installations operate continuously to prevent spontaneous network activation while allowing controlled research to continue under strict containment protocols. Personnel assigned to disruption operations report psychological effects that suggest the network actively resists suppression efforts. Equipment failures occur with impossible frequency, and maintenance teams experience shared dreams and spontaneous knowledge downloads that indicate the system is attempting to communicate despite technological interference. The resistance appears to be programmed into the network itself, as if the original builders anticipated suppression efforts and embedded countermeasures designed to ensure eventual revelation of the technology. Archaeological evidence suggests they understood that human consciousness development follows predictable patterns that would eventually overcome attempts at permanent suppression. Recent discoveries indicate that the handbag network includes temporal components that allow communication across different time periods. Researchers have documented information transfers that appear to originate from both past and future time periods, suggesting the system operates outside normal temporal limitations. These temporal communications include warnings about suppression efforts and guidance for individuals who discover handbag sites independently. The messages demonstrate knowledge of current events and future developments that couldn't be explained by conventional information sources. Intelligence analysts believe that future versions of humanity may be using the network to guide present-day individuals toward breakthrough discoveries that will ultimately overcome suppression efforts. The temporal aspect makes containment impossible because countermeasures can be anticipated and circumvented through information transmitted from future time periods. These 10 secrets represent more than suppressed archaeological evidence. They reveal a systematic campaign to prevent humanity from accessing technologies that could transform our species overnight. The handbags of the gods aren't ancient relics, but active components in a consciousness network that threatens every power structure built on human limitation and ignorance. The truth can no longer be contained, and the awakening has already begun.